So Trump is wanting to go to war with Venezuela. I would be surprised if we don't go into war with them. Since Trump's first term and with his current term, he has had rhetoric where he discussed his distaste for the president of Venezuela and his sort of, I don't know, escalationist approach with many other countries, Venezuela being sort of on the top of the list. He's talked about this from his first term. We tried to undermine their election last time. Um, we've done a lot of unfortunate things to Venezuela, and I'm not going to defend them and say the president is this good guy. I simply disagree with a lot of his stuff, and I think that he should also have sovereignty over his nation. Now, um, it's weird to really push for war, especially from this president, given his no new war platform, but that's where we are. So there's been discussion of what to do next. We were bombing their boats, which was a clear sign of escalation, could be argued to be a war crime. And basically, from my perspective, I thought, okay, well, that's it. We're going to war with them. I mean, you're bombing their people. And you could say they're drug boats, but there's no due process that has been in place, and we're just bombing people. Now, the next step, or where we're currently at right now, is it seems that we are going to consider their airspace closed, which is just an article that I read this morning. So Trump is now saying that we're basically we're basically just going to go to war with them. There's no, maybe with the boats you can say that it was a sort of like game of chicken, but now it seems pretty clear. Like if their airspace is close, I don't really know how else you can't see it to be the next step is a little bit more full scale. Obviously, I don't think we're gonna have boots on the ground. I hope not. I think we're just gonna bomb them just like we did with Iran. But it goes to show that Trump is this escalationist guy. He's not a peace deal person. We've bombed people before in the past. We've bombed people within this current administration. It seems to be the route that he is a big drone user. We saw the decrease with Biden versus Trump, where Biden had virtually almost no drone war, whereas Trump and Obama were big on the drone war. Now we can discuss the nuances of that, if some were required, some were good, if there was a net benefit to it. But let's be real here. Trump has been this escalationist. He's talked about invading other countries. He has been stopped in his first term to bomb other places. He is an escalationist very easily. There's no doubt about it. If you agree with it, we can have a discussion, but let's just not be coy here. He is a man of, let's just bomb them and then worry about it later. I mean, we see with the boats. The boats look awful. Optically, he looks terrible just to bomb some people who potentially could have been innocent. Even if they were drug runners, you can argue, like, is this even still worth it? Why not just arrest them? For the most part, it seems like they don't give a shit anymore, and it's working for them because you have people like Gunther Eagleman, who is a big Trumper. Obviously, everything Trump does, this guy is going to co-sign, but it shows sort of like the temperature of the MAGA movement when I see people like him shift from no new wars, great, we're not going to have a war president, to him tweeting, do you support a military intervention in Venezuela? Like, you can't, what are we doing here? I thought this would be something where you're like, I don't like this. Like, hey, maybe, I agree with the Venezuelan thing, but let's not pretend that he's not an escalationist or he's not an interventionist. But they don't care. They don't give a shit. No, like, even if with all these receipts people pulling up, they don't care. And they know that the administration respects that, and it works vice versa. The administration is like, cool, like, we're just going to move forward and bomb who we want to bomb. And our base shouldn't give a shit. Even though we try to sell them on don't like the wars, we're going to be that guy who doesn't do the war. Like, they just don't care. Um, on top of that, this is not even the first time we've been fucking with Venezuela. Like, obviously the boats are huge, but there was a Bay of Piglets invasion in Venezuela back in 2020 where it's linked to the U.S. Obviously, the U.S. declined it, but many of the people connected to the operation to take over Venezuela's president Maduro, which failed. The unsuccessful attempt showed backing by the very least Mike Pence, former vice president. and they can decline all they want, but this looks like shit. It looks like we've been fucking with them. So we're not coming in this as like this sort of peaceful dove, and they pushed us. Even you could argue with the drug boats, maybe that, but even then, it's like it's such a low bar. We've been fucking with them before. They have a huge oil deposit, which shows incentive. And we've talked about and undermined their elections. We've had operations where we've tried to potentially um, overthrow their government, and there's just a lot of lines pointing at we're the aggressor, right? Maduro could be the shittiest dude in the world, but it seems like we really just want to take over their land and their oil. But of course, do people give a shit enough? I don't know. It sucks to see, and I don't know if we're going to have an on scale, a full on scale, boots on the ground. I think we're really just going to stick to the drones, but it could be. I mean, we saw it with Nam. Like, I don't think they potentially saw it as a full scale until it was. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes, but it sucks. I hate to see our young men and women die over oil. Not to completely, boil down the conversation like it's not important, but it just seems like we're in a good position oil wise. We have a good reserve. We have a good. I'd rather have relations with other countries and have this sort of like global effort to make peace deals than just let's just bomb some people, grab some oil, and make a quick fix. And later down the road, now we've created some terrorists who hate America because we took over their country. It's just I'd rather not go that route. I like the diplomatic route. I think we're at peace and we should stick at peace. But obviously, we'll see how it goes.